up early for those sessions. So you can also look at the different districts in Handshake, and there may be reviews from other students, and you can see their website, and there's lots of information you can find on them. All right, you want to research the districts that you will meet. So as you're going to these group sessions or one-on-one sessions with the districts, man, you want to know a little bit about them. It is so impressive when you can say something like, hey, I noticed on your website that you guys are doing this, or I saw this new program that you introduced, when I was looking at your social media accounts. Gosh, you say stuff like that and you are immediately very impressive to that school district. So I would encourage you to do some research. I mean, and you don't have to memorize their financial statistics or anything like that, but look at their websites, look at their social media accounts. Maybe you can Google them and see if there's any news that's been posted about them recently. It's wonderful for you to have that kind of information, especially if you're in a one-on-one session when it's just you and the employer, because probably, I'm almost guarantee the employer is going to ask you, so why are you interested in our district? Why do you have an interest here? And you're going to want to have something to say. So make sure that you research the districts. It'll pay off big time if you do that, and employers know when you don't. So make sure that you take care of that piece. Prepare a few talking points. I just mentioned if you're in a one-on-one, they're likely to say, so why are you interested in our district? Or what is your teaching, or what is your goal, or what do you want to do? I mean, you need to think about your answer probably before you're in the session. This PowerPoint, this slide has some links on it that'll help you kind of develop what we call an elevator pitch. And an elevator pitch is just a short little sound bite over you that just tells the employer kind of who you are, what you're looking to do, and maybe highlight some skills that you have. So we're going to email this PowerPoint to you after our webinar, and you can click on this link here, the worksheet link, and it'll give you some ideas on developing that pitch. We also have an online interviewing workshop, and that would be probably really smart to just go through that to get a sense of maybe some of the questions that they'll ask you. And it's not an interview, but certainly you want to have some things ready so that you can respond to just some general questions that they're probably going to ask. Okay, that's what you can do before the fair. Now let's talk about what happens during the fair. So the first thing that we want you to do, you need to dress professionally. And we kind of joke about this on Zoom meetings, but we say wear pants, and we're joking, but we're not. I mean, we think you should dress professionally for these Zoom interviews, because one thing, I mean, the employer is going to see you probably from the waist up. I mean, they should, and you should turn your camera on when you're in these sessions with them. But I would encourage you to go the whole 9 yards and dress completely like you were going for an in-person interview. When you dress like that, it just does something for your confidence. It just gives you a different mindset when you're in that setting. So take these seriously and really dress for the occasion, just as if you were going for an in-person interview. You'll interview better if you do that. All right, you want to make sure that you're prepared and you have a really quiet spot that you can, have your sessions with the employers. You don't want distractions. You can, I wouldn't do it on your phone. I would do it on a laptop or other computer. You can use a background, and if you do in Zoom, make sure the background is plain. You want the surroundings to be quiet. Make sure the phone's not going to ring, or a roommate's not going to walk behind you or turn the radio on or something like that. Make sure that all of those things are taken care of. Have water in case you need to take a drink of water, but don't put it in your Disney princess cup, okay? Just put it in a normal glass or container. You want to test your video and make sure that things are working. And I will say this too, if you do have a technical problem, and you likely won't, but if you do, don't panic. Employers are used to that happening sometimes, and you can reach out to us. We'll be there in the virtual job fair where there's a help room, and we can help you get it figured out. So just don't panic, stay calm, problem solve, and you usually can get it worked out. So, but anyway, be prepared. You want to make sure that that recruiter focuses on you and not things happening in your environment. Obviously, you want to be on time. I mean, it's a hard hole to dig out of if you're late for a session. So you don't want to be late for a session. When you go to your sessions in Handshake, the link will be active 5 minutes prior to the session. So you won't be able to really go into the session until 5 minutes prior, but be there on time. So there's really nothing worse than not showing up on time to an interview, whether it's online or in person. Good eye contact. One tip that you can do is take their image and just put it right underneath your camera on your computer, because you want to make good eye contact with them. And I don't know if you're like me, but that's a struggle sometimes, because we look at, you know, where their picture is on our screen and forget that it's not, you know, close to our camera. So drag their picture right up next to your camera, and that'll help you make better eye contact. Make sure there's no distractions. Don't have your phone, put your phone away. So, I mean, you don't want to be checking text or anything like that. You want them to feel like you are zoned into them and really, you know, they're your center of attention, and they should be. And then also you want to listen very proactively and make sure you're catching what they're talking to you about. So, all right. Ask questions. You know, usually at the end of your session, they're going to say, so do you have any questions for us? And it's always a good idea to have some questions. It's really never a good idea to say, nope, I'm good. I mean, you want to have at least 1 or 2 questions. What I would encourage you to do is think of like 3 or 4 different questions and maybe have them on a sheet of paper that is right there by your computer. And the reason you want 3 or 4 different questions is, you know, if they, during the course of your conversation with them, if they answer, you know, one of your questions, you want to have another one that you can ask. So there's a link on this slide that has some great questions, especially for potential teachers in an interview. So check those out. I think they're really, really good. I mentioned a pen and paper. I always think that's a good idea to have that handy in case they tell you something and you need to jot it down, or maybe you think of another question that you want to ask just during the conversation with them. You can jot that down so you won't forget at the end. And also make sure that you get the contact information from the person that you're talking to. You may get it through Handshake, but if you don't have it, it's okay to ask. And you can just say something like, hey, I didn't get a chance to get your contact information. Could I get what's the best way to reach out to you? And they'll share their email or telephone number with you. After the job fair, I mean, you want to keep the momentum going. So if there's districts that you were really impressed with and they have openings on Handshake, certainly you want to apply for those. Or maybe they direct you to go to their website. And so you want to do that and apply for any jobs that you're interested in. And the other thing that you can do that is so professional and so cool, send them a thank you note. You can do that via email or text. If you really want to go old school and be different and stand out, I would encourage you to do a handwritten thank you note. I mean, how many of us get handwritten stuff in the mail these days? I mean, I get very little. If any. So, I mean, when you do that, it really stands out. So that could be a way to be different. But the point is, no matter how you do it, say thank you to those folks that you visit with. That's one of those polishing touches that just makes you look so professional and can be a thing that kind of tips the scale in your favor. All right. So I think that's my part of it. And I will turn it over to Sam and Jen, and they'll tell you more about the details of Handshake.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about what we're going to go over as far as the virtual fair experience in Handshake. So how to find the fair, registering, reviewing those different school districts, creating and managing your schedule, which is probably the most important part, profile visibility requirements, and the day of information. So first, to find the fair on Handshake, you will go into Handshake login, you'll click on the events tab, and then you can filter by career fair and you will find the Educators Expo. From there, you're going to go ahead and register. And one thing you can do once you've registered is go in and learn about each school so that you can see which ones you would like to meet with. And let's say you look at Catawba County Schools and you decide, you know what, this sounds like a good place to work. So they might not have their schedule set up yet, or you might think, oh, all their sessions are full. Well, if you go ahead and click that follow button up in the right-hand corner, you'll be able to see and be notified if they actually add more to their schedule. And then also on the left-hand side, you can see an overview of that school. You can see reviews from people who have actually worked there. And then the interviews shows you the process that that school has to interview. Okay, so to go into the career fair details, you can click that details, and then you can see all the different school districts that are there. So then you can kind of check them out, poke around, see which ones sound interesting to you. And I recommend, talking to schools that you might not necessarily be on the top of your list, and see maybe it is a place that you would want to work. Maybe they might surprise you. All right, so to register, you'll go into that Educators Expo. Once you've clicked on that, up in the right, there'll be the register button. And once you're registered, it's going to prompt you with this little screen that says what's next. And this is where you can actually sign up for your sessions. So if you only register and do nothing else, really you haven't completed your registering process for the fair, because you won't have any meetings with an employer. So this is where it's super important. So you'll go in and hit view employer sessions, and then you'll be able to see different sessions and schedule those. So when you click available sessions, that's when you can go in and choose which schools you want to meet with. And if there's a specific school in mind, like let's say, for example, you really want to meet with Dumas ISD, you can search in that search bar. You can also filter by location. And I would say this is probably the biggest, the most used way that you will probably find the schools that you want is by that location, because most of them are going to be full-time. And that's another way. So like if you're looking for teaching positions in Colorado, you can set that filter there.
Okay. All right. So there's a couple of different session types that you can choose to sign up for. We've got one-on-one sessions and group sessions, and Steve kind of dipped into both of these a little bit. So the major differences between these two types of sessions, those one-on-ones, it's going to be you and a recruiter. It's going to be one-on-one, as the title indicates. It's 10 minutes with this recruiter. And then there's those group sessions. They're going to be 30 minutes long. It'll be you, potentially some other students if other students register, and there can be definitely one recruiter, but sometimes they'll have multiple join them so they can kind of talk on different topics. And so these sessions, I wouldn't look at them as interviews because they're not necessarily interviews. However, employers can kind of use these sessions however they see fit. Those one-on-ones, I would think of it as a networking opportunity. So like Steve said, have those great questions ready, have your elevator pitch ready to go so that you know what you want to talk about. You can really market yourself really well in those 10 minutes and have some good discussion topics ready to go. Those group sessions, they are often the recruiters sharing their screen and giving you kind of a high level overview of their school district. And then usually a Q&A type of thing at the end of maybe those last 15 minutes. But again, employers can use those however they want to. So just be aware of that going in. So whenever you go to create your schedule, like Jen was talking about, there might be some sessions that are not visible. So for the most part with this fair, employers aren't going to set such tight restrictions because they know kind of they've got their captive audience of educators that are registering for this fair. So largely, if you are not seeing any schedules set up, let's say under Colleen, that interest you, it may be because they don't have a schedule set up or they have run out of spots. But what I would say is if you're not seeing something, contact our office and we can definitely chat with you and see what's going on, and see if maybe they're just having issues setting up their schedule on their end. See if we can get the PowerPoint to work with me. There we go. Okay, so for those one-on-one sessions, you could potentially see that school districts have multiple recruiters coming. I did a little bit of poking around and it looks like most school districts only have one recruiter, so you may not have this option here. But let's say you are wanting to chat with Cypress, Fairbanks ISD. They're bringing Michelle and Jose, and maybe you have a connection with Jose, or you know someone who knows Jose, and so you want to connect specifically with him. You can definitely do that. You'll go down to Jose's available spots and select a time that works best with your schedule. But over here on the right-hand side, you'll see that Handshake will put these red dots next to any time slots that you already have something scheduled for. So that's kind of a nice kind of a gatekeeping thing that Handshake has in place. They're not going to let you overbook yourself. So that's really nice. And you can only select one spot per recruiter, but you could potentially select a spot with Michelle and with Jose. You know, this is a shorter fair, so we encourage you to leave us, you know, spots open for other students as well. But maybe Michelle directs you to speak with Jose later in the day. You speak with her in the morning and she says, hey, you know what, you need to go talk with Jose. And that would be a great opportunity to go and chat with him and take up a spot in his schedule as well. Okay, so the group sessions, there's a lot less to it. You can kind of get an idea of what they'll chat about at the group sessions, but you're just going to hit that confirm button once you decide that you want to attend the Catawba County Schools group session that's happening at from 10 to 10:30. You'll just hit that confirm button and you'll be signed up for that session. So then once you have set your schedule, you can go into the career fair again. And there's a tab right there in the middle that says your schedule. You can just review everything that you've signed up for. So I see that I've got a group session with Canyon ISD, and I've also got a one-on-one with Killeen ISD. And so that's great. But now maybe my work schedule has changed and I've got a little bit of time between 9 and 10 o'clock. So I want to fill that time slot a little bit more. You can go and you can click that show open sessions and kind of fill in your schedule where you have some extra gaps. Okay, so if you sign up, especially if it's a one-on-one session, we really encourage you, maybe your work schedule gets in the way or you forgot you had a midterm or a finals class, and you can't make your one-on-one or your group session, we want you to go in and cancel those. And so again, you're going to go to the Your Schedule tab. You will want to click into the specific session that you want to cancel. So this one-on-one with Killeen, I can't make it anymore. So I'll click into that session and then click that cancel reservation. So you do kind of have to dig for that that cancellation button. But just think about this, you know, if Killeen Independent ISD is your dream school and you sign up for a one-on-one with them and then you kind of ghost them, that's not going to look so great. And Steve kind of talked on that. So make sure you're being respectful of their time and just canceling when you can't make it. But once you hit that cancel reservation button, you'll be prompted to enter kind of an explanation. It'll be a note to the employer or the recruiter. And so you don't have to, you know, go into full-blown detail, but just letting them know that you won't be able to make it for that time slot. Okay, so profile visibility is kind of a big piece here. When you're setting up your schedule, Handshake will actually prompt you to change it. So community is what's suggested. Community visibility allows you to interact with employers, students, and alums. So it kind of gives you that full pass access. And then employers, that will allow you, this is kind of the minimum requirement for the virtual career fair. So this will allow you to interact in those one-on-one sessions with the recruiters. And so if you are for some reason not prompted to change your profile visibility here, you can always go up into your account, go down to settings and privacy and change that information there. But just know if you're uncomfortable having your profile visibility settings, you know, open to the public, you can always go back and change that after the fair. Okay, so some day of the fair information. First of all, Google Chrome, that's where it's at. That's where you want to be partying on the day of the fair. We have found probably 9.99999% of the time when students or employers are having issues in Handshake, using the Handshake platform to stream their video, it's because they're not using Google Chrome. So work on a device that has Google Chrome or get it downloaded. That will be your best bet. And then also on the day of the fair, whenever you log in, you're going to have this nice little green banner. It says go to your schedule. So some easy access for you to help you along. Okay. And then again, once we're at the day of the fair, you're going to go into that My Schedule tab again. And like Steve said, 5 minutes prior before your session, you're going to see a join video button, and you can click into that. And then you have this kind of nice middle ground where you get to, make sure you don't have any broccoli in your teeth, or that you're, the West Texas wind hasn't, blown your hair into a frizzy mess like it would mine. So you can check your camera, you can check your mic here. And then if you're having any issues, you can adjust those settings on this page as well. And then once you're ready and broccoli free, you're going to click that Join Now button. Okay, so group sessions of more than 15 students, the video is not going to be available. So I could foresee maybe AISD or CISD being pretty popular. So you might find yourself in a group session where there's more than 15 of you. So your video will not be available in those sessions, but you will have a function. It's not shown here, but you'll have the ability to raise your hand. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand, and then the recruiter can actually unmute you, and you can ask them audibly, or you can always type it in the chat. And then it really looks like Zoom. It's a simplified version of Zoom, and we're all Zoom professionals here. So I think we're all going to be great the day of the fair. So it's pretty simplified and straightforward once you get into those sessions. Okay, and then kind of wrapping it up here, Jen mentioned that you can set your schedule all the way up until the day of the fair. However, again, this is a shorter fair, so those spots are going to go like hotcakes. So I would not wait until the day of the fair, because you might miss out on that dream opportunity with Catawba County School District. And so whenever it's the day of the fair, maybe you went to a group session with Colleen and you really liked what they had to say, so now you want to sign up for a one-on-one with them, you can absolutely do that. You're going to go to that your schedule tab, go to a later session, do the show open sessions, and see if Colleen has any open spots, and then you can snag one of those one-on-ones. Okay, so we will have a Zoom room available for you. We're going to have it staffed 1 hour prior to the fair. So this fair begins at 9 o'clock. We'll be there at 8 o'clock on that Zoom room. This is not where you go to meet with your recruiter. We'll be there to hype you up and answer any questions or kind of problem solve with you if you're having any issues. But yeah, so we'll send that Zoom link over to you in case you need it. And then do you want me to take this part, Kim?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Oh, perfect. Okay. So a couple of really exciting things here. We love to give things away. So we've got a giveaway. Hey, we are going to give away a gift basket to the student who meets with the most school districts. Okay. We want you to expand your lovely horizons and, go and speak with people beyond maybe AISD and CISD. Talk to people that are, out there. We've got people from North Carolina, like, who knows? North Carolina is beautiful.
And
maybe.
Florida.
And Florida, come on now, I want to go to Florida. So the person who meets with the most school districts, they'll get this great gift basket. And then the three students with 3 or more sessions are going to go into a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. So go out there, set your schedule, get signed up. You could win something, and that's exciting. And then lastly, this is very exciting. So because you attended the webinar tonight, you are going to get a lovely Padfolio that Miss Kim is holding up. These things are real snazzy. They're even better when you're going to an in-person career fair. So maybe one day you'll, get to take it with you to an in-person career fair, but it'd be great for you to take to your interviews whenever you get those interviews at those school districts. So we will have your names on these pad folios. So stop by our office. We're in Classroom Center 113. We got the 2 big yellow hand chairs. You can't miss us. We'll have your name on one. Come pick it up. Yes, and here's that final slide. And Kim, I will